So, good evening, students. I hope you can hear me. Just give me know that you can hear me, because I'm going to start. Yes, right. Because I'm going to start the class, we have to finish our topics about the resourcing. On the last class, we have finished half one only. So today we have to finish all of them. We have today the class will be continuing about the resourcing first. We start from the selection methods and about your answers. I already got some answers from some students. I will reply on the next week because I have to review all of them first, and I will reply on the next week. So let's go. Selection methods. So after the recruiting, we start to select the employees. First, we use the points to interact with the candidate. What is kind of points? Here is the 3 points. First, from the HR management perspective, you have to reply meaningfully and fast. The printing postcard of the acknowledgement is not a reply. Actually, the next is the personal letter should be, or email which says nothing more than the application has been received. I know that most of us have been fill up after the filling of the application, we haven't received any answer, and this is sad to you because you don't know did they receive your email or not, did they receive your application or not, and what about your vacancy? Do you actually how to say, did you already agreed as the employer or not? So this is first you have to reply meaningfully and fast and with the personal letter. So the second is the contact correspondences in terms of what the applicants want to know. Of course, this is how long will they have to wait for an answer. If you have them in for interview or assessment center, how long will it take it? What will it involve? Do you defer expenses? Can they park their car and so on? So of course, you have to advance your employee about how many levels of the interview will be or assessment. Maybe it takes 1 week or 2 weeks. How long it takes, and what kind of the process which is involved. So the next one, the interviewers should be trained to ensure that they have not only full knowledge of the relevant information, but also the skills to manage the interaction effectively. So before selection, you have to know that this kind of employee has special skills that can be managed with your vacancy, that the company or organization is required. So let's move to the next slide one. So here is the selection criteria and the person specification. The selection criteria is typically present in the form of a person specification representing the ideal candidate and covers such arrays of skills, experience, the qualification, the education, the personal attributes, the special attributes, interest, and motivation. Here, of course, we know that we are trying to find the ideal candidate. We will find the best from the best. The skill, the experience is very important. The qualification, what's the personal attributes is like the special attributes, like maybe you know special language, maybe you know the additional language like the Chinese or Japanese language, or of course English is always required. So what about your interests? Of course, some organization needs to know your interests and your hobbies. Like, do you like a sport, for example? Some organizations provide the fitness center for employees. Maybe they provide some discount cards, so you can join the fitness center or something else like. So, and motivation, of course, HRM have to know your motivation. What is motivate you to work in that kind of company? Money, or the career development, or some kind of train and develop opportunities, maybe train as opportunities. So this is about all of this. So let's move to the next one. So here is the selection method. We have actually three perspectives can be used to determine the selection criteria. Here is the organizational fit. The company requires flexible and adaptable employees. You have to be flexible first in the time meaning and in the geographical meaning, for example. And adaptable employees. Because what is means adaptable? Because you are a new employee, for example, you are entering the new organization, and then organization already have their own corporate culture. So you have to, and you need, if you would like to work in that company, you have to adapt the corporate culture to yourself and be as a part of this company. So next is the team and functional fit. The employee has to fit into pre-existing working. This is what I talk right now about the corporate culture. So you have to find the same talk in one language with the other employees, with the existing employees already. So, and job fit. This is here is talking about the competencies, the personal skills, knowledge, the motive, traits, self-image, and the social role. The competencies, your skills, your knowledge, and your experience should be managed with that vacancy where you're going to enter. So I hope this slide is understandable. I would like to add something about the fit organization. For example, the Backley, which is science, he explains how fit with the organization is also expressed in terms of personality, about attitudes, flexibility, commitment, the goals, rather than be able to do the specific job for the which person is being recruited. So when we talk about the organization fit, we more talk about your personality, about how your attitudes fit with the organization, how your commitment and your goals will fit with the corporate goals, with the corporate commitment. And about the job fit, about the job fit, the competence have been defined as underlying characteristic of a person which result in effective and superb performance. They include the personal skills. Here is already I talk about the knowledge and motives and traits. So here is in the slide you can see that this kind of three criteria have to be managed when you're going to recruit a new employee to the organization. So here is I have a question from Masuda. She's asking about what does mean by the present work. This is not just work, the work team. So this here is talks about the new employee has to fit with the previous work team in the organization. You have to be adaptable and flexible. And because you are the one person, new person, for example, you can enter in with a large company or the small, it doesn't matter how many people have, but more than two, of course. And you have to fit with them. You have to find the, for example, the one friendly corporate language with them. Be friendly, be as a team. Try to enter as a part of the team. This is what talk about the team and functional fit. This means the pre-existing work team. That means pre-existing work team at the organization where you are going to be employed. So, okay, right, thanks. So let's move to the next one. So here is the choosing selection methods. The combination of two romances is generally used. So now we will look at the we will look at the selection methods itself, and each organization uses a different one, or in the combination two or more that kind of methods we should talk right now. So let's see what kind of methods we have. Here is the application form that is known by everyone. So here is the biodata have been defined by Anderson and Shackleton as a historical and verifiable the piece of information about an individual in the selection context usually reports on the application forms. So, and the application forms are increasingly available electronically right now, and this not only speeds up but the process, but also enables the keyword search as data on the forms. So, of course, we know that first when we are going to for example, the new employee going to recruit into the company, they will fill out the application forms. The most of large and the international company, they have own website, and you can do it by electronically. They just fill up application form, and this is very easy, speed, and cheap. The methods which we have actually. So actually, this kind of method, the application forms, is like in some companies they use a different methods in the combination. So this is like a first level of the recruitment. So the recruitment process will involve this kind of first level from the application forms. So let's move to the next one. So we have also the self-assessment and peer assessment. The self-selection questionnaire on the company website and Clever. What is about actually? So this one. Actually, there is increasing the interest in providing more information to applicants concerning the job. This may involve a video or informal discussion with the job holders or further information sent with the application form. And this is often termed giving the prospective candidate as a realistic job preview, enabling them to assess their own suitability to a much greater extent than some organizations have taken the opportunity to process self-selection questionnaires on the company website. So here it says like most of companies, they use the assessment level. So you will it's like for example, as you are a new employee, you fill out the question from yourself. You assess yourself from the grade from 10 to 1 or 1 to 10. It will be a different one. So you like assess your knowledge, like how do you think, what's your knowledge from 1 to 10? 1 is lower, the 10 is highest, like you think your knowledge is fit with vacancy by 10 grade, or by 8th grade, or maybe 3 grade. This is self-assessment, also very interesting. It helps to organization save a time in means of the selection criteria. So another way of achieving this is by asking the candidates to do some form of pre-work. This may also involve asking them the question regarding their previous work experience, which would relate to the job for which they are applying. This means about like some organization asks the special letters, as you know, like in that kind of letter you have to explain your past experience, what you have done in the past company, what kind of project you have done, what for example your function was in that organization, your successful project. You will just have to like be noted and that you have done that kind of successful project. You have experience in this kind of fields. So the pre-work. And also, for example, self-assessment peer assessment also is about like some companies asking to do some project in the recruitment, in the selection process. Like for example, you have entered, if you would like to enter the large nutrition company, you can write the project for the branding that company's products. Maybe you have a new idea how to brand that kind of product and how to manage their sales and, for example, the logistics things. This is all about the self-assessment, peer assessment, all about the pre-work. This also, I think this is very interesting when you are going to select the person. If you have received from the new employee, if you have received from the candidate this kind of project, they will give you idea how to increase, for example, the sales, how to maybe about the new products and services, how to manage your company's problem, and so on. So this gives to the candidates very high rates in the assessment between the other candidates, because it automatically increases like yourself, your level, like your knowledge and skills, your experience. So I always recommend to my students and to my friends that when you are going to enter a new company or international, which is the large international, first before the recruitment, please write a project. Maybe it could be not so. Please write first maybe the project about that company. What do you know about that company, and what you can suggest how to solve the problems and that company maybe have. So this will be very helpful to you to get a new vacancy. So here is, I have something from my students. Some of the apologies come late. Yes, of course. Mr. Ahmad Javad says that the self-preparation actually should not be the final selection for the job, but rather pre-assessment. Of course, this is all about, this all methods is like actually in the companies or organizations used in the combination. For the application forms plus the self-assessment and plus and so on. So we will look at this one. So let's move to the next one. So here is telephone interview. The telephone interviews are best used as a part of a structured selection procedure, rather than alone in general in terms of the personal or for face-to-face interview. And this is, I think, very understandable, very easy. The telephone interview, of course, it's not the final method that a company can select the best candidate. So let's move to the next one. Is a question for here is the question for this. What are the advantages of using the telephone interviews? For what type of job would you use this approach to selection? I hope you already have answers for that question. I will see it later. So let's move to the next one. So testing. So let's start from testing. Testing very interesting, and I think each company have a testing method as a selection method. So here the CIPD with the largest sample found that 75% of organizations using the general ability test, the 72% of our organizations using the literacy and numeracy test, and 60% using the personality test, all of it had increased from the previous years, and Murphy and IRS3 found the similar result. That's true. That most of organizations using this kind of test. And testing is more likely to be used for management, professional or graduate jobs. Also, as the testing on the bed becomes more common, it's likely to be used for a wide range of jobs. Yes, like for example, when you fill out the application form first, then automatically the corporate website asking you to fill out the testing. And testing could be very different. they can give you, for example, 1 hour for 40 questions, or it could be less or more than it. So the tests actually are choosing the basis that the test scores relate to the or correlate with the subsequent job performance, so that a high test score would predict the high job performance and low test score would predict low job performance. Of course, the HR manager, they will check the results from the testing, and when you got the right answers, of course the high score, the more right answer will predict that you have a high job performance for that kind of vacancy. And low, that means maybe you as a candidate will be in the end of the list of candidates which may apply for that kind of vacancy. So also, I'd like to add about them. We have also online testing, as I told right now. So the CIPD reports that the 25% of respondents to its survey use online tests. And there is much interest in developing this area. Tests can be used in one or the three different ways. So, what kind of is uncontrolled? Anyone can register in the website and the company website and use them on the open internet. So, second one is controlled. The candidate needs first to be registered by the organization using the test, and their identity must be checked and supervised as above, and a qualified tester from the organization also logs on and ensure that time limits and other requirements are met, that I already told. So that about the testing could be different, uncontrolled and supervised and controlled. Most of companies use, I think, the supervised, that they give a time limit for example, 1 hour, and other requirement that you have to met with this process of the testing. So, and then what are the advantages of them testing? It's cheaper in the long run. Cheap first is cheap. Immediate analysis is very fast in this terms of analysis from the HR manager perspective. Is immediate the feedback to candidate. Of course, when you fill out the testing, you automatically will receive the answers about your testing. How did your, for example, answer met with the questions? And it can be used for wide range or lower paid jobs. The speed processes and helps to retain the potential candidates. Good for company image. And can use a wide range of different tests. It can be the video scenarios followed by what will you do the next, and also they can be convenient for applicants. Of course, you can. You don't need to go to somewhere to the company or go around and find that company and waste your time to come and fill out the testing. So you can do it from your own point, from at home or from your existing work. So we have also the advantages from the testing. Here is the worries over the confidentiality and security of the personal data. Of course, when you fill up all the application forms and cases, you have to give your the personal information about your name, address, maybe your telephone number, and so on. This is very unsecure because the artist can use your information. So it also appears cold and impersonal. Of course, everybody wants to see face-to-face and discuss. That would be better, maybe. Open to misuse. Who is actually completing the test? For example, it's very interesting. Like, if you would like to to fill up the testing successful. You don't know who has filled up the form. Maybe fill up the already pre-existing the employee which works in your company and knows they knows the answer for every question. And maybe your friend has been working in that company, and he can or she can fill up that form for you. So, and the HR manager don't know who has been filled up the form. Of course, they cannot check it. So, and also disadvantages can encourage the rapid development of the new tests which are not properly validated. This is from the perspective of technological development. This kind of tests, most of the company can apply in their website, and maybe it's not validated by the scientists. This is verifiable. And this is the effective and efficiency testing for the selection or not. So this is the disadvantage, and today we talk about the testing. So I have some questions. Just a moment. So okay, I have a question from the user asking which method could be more effective used in the selection process. As I told you, the best method, in the combination of three of them, for example, application forms first, and then what we have application, the self-assessment, and the testing also. The best way is a combination of three of them, for example, four of them, and also it depends on the company specification. What kind of skills your company, what kind of what kind of candidate the company needs. Also depends on the job specification as from the company specification itself. So let's move to the next one. So here is the group selection method and assessment centers. We have another one method is the group selection. So here is the bluntly describe the purpose of group selection method as being to provide the evidence about the candidate's ability to get on with others, influence others, and the way they do this, express themselves verbally, think clearly and logically, argue from the past experience and apply themselves to a new problem, and identify the type of the role they play in the group situation. This is after, for example, testing. If, for example, you have 10 candidates which already joined over the testing, and they fill up the successful that kind of testing. They have a high score for testing. But the HR manager will invite them in the office and will give some assignments or some project to compare how these candidates can be work as a team, for example. Or who is the leader from this candidate? Who is the leader? How this candidate can express themselves verbally? How it can be impact others? How here is in the group selection actually. There is actually a range of group exercises that can be used, including, for example, informational discussion of a given topic, would give a special topic, or can be given the role plays and groups who must organize themselves to solve a problem within time limits, for example, which may take the form of competitive business game. This is very interesting. Or could be given as a case study or physical activity. The group selection method is actually the most suitable for management, for graduate, and sometimes supervisory posts. And one of the difficulties with the group selection method is that it can be difficult to assess an individual's contribution, and some people may be unwilling to take a part. Maybe it's passive candidate, so it could be difficult to assess that kind of candidate. So in the group selection could be given, as I told you, the business game, maybe the case study, or something else. And each one, it's like you'll be getting in the teamwork, and the HR manager will assist you how you will fit with the corporate, with the previous candidate, with the previous employees, with the corporate culture. And in this kind of the business games, for example, the HR manager can identify the best leader in this group, who is the best, who has impact on the others, who can push or pull the others to do something, for example, to solve a problem or something else. Because we know, we have for example, we have actually two kinds of people. First is the managers, the leaders, who can manage the people, push them. And the second, we have a second type, is the performance people. They can be the best in the performance of the goals and functional. You be in also as a commitment. So in this kind of assessment, used in the as I told you, the supervisors to find the best, to find the top manager, the best top manager, and to find the strength and powerful candidate. So here is you have to be, for example, if you like to join a new company and you have this kind of selection methods, and you have to be very strong, very active, speed, and be logically and be concentrated. So to solve problems, and just to solve a case study or something else which be given. So I hope you understand these methods. So let's move to the next one. Work sampling portfolios. We have other two methods. This is a work sampling portfolios and references. So just we'll explain you shortly the work sampling portfolio or portfolios. This is for some jobs such as photographers and artists, for example. A sample of work in the form of a portfolio is expected to be present at the time of interview. As we know, for example, such kind of the professionals as a photographer, artists, or singers, or dancer, is the kind of the specification of their job is that they have to show their work, what they can do, and maybe testing is not suitable for them. And for example, the photographer can bring the best pictures in the selection process and show to the HR manager. For artists, maybe show some role from the game or from the scenario. The dancer maybe could prepare, for example, the dancer could prepare his or his own dance and show how it can move, for example. And singer also maybe for singing testing will be not preferred, and we'll see the HR manager maybe will check the voice first. So this is work sampling. I think you understand what it means. Like you are coming when you are recruiting, you are coming with your kind of portfolio, with your product, what you want going to show, and what you are going to do, for example. What about the references? The candidates that provide the names of previous employers or others with the appropriate credentials, and then prospective employers request them to provide the information. References is also most of top management. They have when they be assisted by the other organizations. Here is the most important, the references from the pre-existing work, and such as large companies, international companies. They also prefer references first. They will look who can reference from the pre-existing work and how did they do it. So I think this is very simple and understandable. And references also can be used as a combination in the selection method with the application form and with the testing. It would be as an advantage to you as a candidate. So let's move to the next slide. So now we have a conclusion. So a combination of selection methods is usually chosen based upon the job, as I told you, appropriateness, acceptability, the time, the administrative fees, the cost, the accuracy, and the ability of selection staff. And different countries often have a different view on which methods are most appropriate. This also different, not only countries, and different companies. And different companies with different specification fields, they have a different view on each method itself. So now we talk about the methods, the selection methods. You know, I think you already, I think you have maybe the experience with that kind of methods. So it depends on you. What would you like to use? What kind of method you would like to use when you are going to select your candidate? So we finish with the selection methods. Let's move to the next slide. We have a retention. Question for discussion. I hope you have already answered for that question. It could be agreed that the selection process identifies candidates who are competing in the selection process rather than the candidates who are most competent to perform the job on offer. This is a sentence. You have to think about this fact. Is that true or not? That for example, the most of people, they maybe could be not successful in the selection, in the testing, for example, in the testing process, but maybe that candidate is the best for and can fit with the new vacancy. No, not true. Actually, we have two parts of you who is thinking that is true, who is not thinking it's true. You have to argue what is not true. So in this question, you have to give the answer. If you think yes, and so you just like you have to answer like you think yes, that's true, and you have to argue why, to give the arguments and factor why it's true. If not, you can also if not, you have to also argue that why it's not. And give maybe some examples or samples from your experience, from your job. So think about that question. So let's move to the next one. Now we have staff retention. The employee retention that becomes an important item in HRM when the organization are faced with a skill shortage. As you remember, in the HR planning, we have talking about the employee shortage or employee surplus. So here is the retention is very important. When we have a shortage, when we have less employee than we need, in the simple words. So here is the table 6. Shows you the job tenure in the UK among the permanent employees. So here is the two graph. The graph shows the length of series. The first shows the length of series, and the next one shows the percentage of the workforce. So how many employees have been how many employees have been worked? 27% of employees have been worked from 1 month to the 2 years. 24% has been worked from 2 to 5 years. This is actually UK statistics, so in different countries could be different one. Okay, just as an example. So we are talking about the retention. So let's move. We have it. So here is the turnover rate and the trend. The staff turnover always rises when the economy is strong and jobs are plentiful because there are more opportunities available for people to change the employers. I hope that this describes clear. So we have a staff turnover, we have a high staff turnover when is economic strong. Later I will explain with why. So and conversely, during the recessions, staff turnover falls because the relatively few attractive permanent positions are advertised. So let's explain why it's like this. The why is high turnover when its economy is strong. The staff turnover always rise when the economy is strong and jobs are plentiful because there are more opportunities available for people to change their employers. So that means when is the economy strong, when is we have a good condition in the work, of course we have a high competitive advantage between the good employees, between the professionals, and staff turnover of course will rise and will be high here. Yes. And conversely, during the recession, staff turnover falls because the relatively few attractive permanent positions are advertised. As you remember, when we have a recession, which has been started from the financial crisis in the September of 2007, we had we have a low turnover because most of the companies have been cut the employees. All is about financial crisis. We have a different factor for that. We still continue to actually. Most of people think that the financial crisis is always finished, but it's still continuing. But the people already has been adapted for that crisis. So, people tend to move from the employee to employee early on their careers, also staying in one employment for just a few months. So, but once they find a job, rather than the tendency is to remain for several years. Jobs for life have in truth always been a relative rarity, but the evidence suggests that they remain a reality for many employees, despite the predictions of the management gurus. Over a set of employees have already been in their current jobs for over 8 years. This is by UK statistics. So let's move to the next one. So let's see the statistics. What shows the Charter Institute of Personal and Development persistently show the retailing and catering to be the sector with the highest turnover levels, with a rate averaging over 40% in recent years. This is true. And by contrast, the most stable workforce are to be found in the public services, where the reported annual turnover rates are only for 10 or 11% only. This is by UK statistics, but I think also in most countries this statistics can be applied. That retailing and catering is this kind of sector with a high turnover. Because the actually rates also can vary from the region to region, and over time being the highest when and where average pay levels are highest and unemployed is low, and between the different professions could be also different. As a rule, the more highly paid a person is, less likely they are to switch to the jobs. But there remains some highly paid professions such as sales, where the turnover is always high. It's also interesting to observe how much more inclined younger workers are to switch jobs than their older colleagues were. We know that the youngest people, they are more prone to switch to other work than the older one. So I hope everybody can hear me very well, because Miss Akmal can hear me. I don't know why I can't hear me. You have to mute your microphone first. So let's move to the next one. So now we talk about the turnover analysis and the costing. So here is the main reason people have for voluntarily leaving a job. What kind of factors and reasons we have for that? Let's see. So here this is following the approach is categorizing the main reason why people have leaving a job, and each requiring a different kind of response from the organization. First is the outside factors. As you can see, also what could the leaving first could be out from the outside, from the perspective of the employee. The outside factor is related to the situation in which someone leaves for reasons that are largely unrelated to their work. They are not related to their work, and the most common instances involve people moving away from the partner is relocated, and others include the wish to fulfill a long-term ambition to travel. For example, if there is moving away, maybe you're moving to the other location first, and maybe you would like to travel first. You would like to travel. So this is the outside factor. The next one, the functional factors could be work. As you can see, the reason poor work performance. The functional turnover category includes actually all resignations, which are welcomed by both employer and employee alike. So the major examples are those which stem from an individual's poor work performance or failure to fit in the comfortability with the organizational or department culture. So here it says that the functional you have a poor work performance, or you have a poor organizational department culture, like you can't meet and fit with the corporate culture. So, and we have push factors. What is kind of push? Or let's look. With the push factor, the problem is the dissatisfaction with the work or with the organization itself, and this is about the leading to unwanted turnover. A wide range of issues can be cited to explain such resignation: the insufficient development opportunities. For example, you have here, if you can see the dissatisfaction with the work. It's like, as I told you, insufficient development opportunity. We have no any training or career opportunities. The boredom, the boring work, ineffective supervision, the poor levels of employee involvement, and straightforward personality could be also other reasons. And here is the organization can readily address all of these issues. The main reason that so many fail to do so is the absence of the mechanism for picking up the signs of dissatisfaction. If there is no opportunity to voice concern, the employees who are unhappy will inevitably start looking elsewhere. Of course, if you are unhappy with the organization, with the work itself, you will sooner you're going to look at the job elsewhere. This is the push factor. Now, what about the pull factors? The pull factors, as you can see, the reason could be dissatisfaction with the low salary, is no opportunity for development in the career perspective. So here the salary levels could be are often a factor here, and employees living in order to improve their living standards. If they will look at the other. In addition, there are broader notions for career development, which is very important. And for the employer, the losing people as a result of such factors, for example, there are two main lines of attack. What they can do actually to prevent the leaving. So the first, there is a need to be aware of what other employers are offering, and to ensure that as far as possible this is matched, and what at least that a broadly comparable package of pay and opportunities offered. So as a HR manager, as your top manager of the company, as a director of the company, you have to know what other companies or organizations such as yours offer in the market, what kind of the salary they pay, what kind of opportunity they can provide. And the second is the requiring what they're trying to ensure that the employees appreciate what they are currently being given. The emphasis here is on effective communication of any unique selling points. So the first, here is the second one. You have to be in touch with your employees. You have to know the motivation. You have to know what they would like to. Does he or she are happy with work, with the salary, with the pay, and with the opportunities, for example, for career, for the training, maybe development. So this is the pull factors we talk about right now. So here is I have a question from the Mr. Alamzeb Zargun. Sorry if I pronounce wrong. He says that he thinks that this uncontrolled employee turnover is a major strategic challenge for practically every employee in the total world. Oh no, sorry, I have a question that he says that approximately 50% of the organization experience with the regular problems with employer retention. And he asked you, he has a question, what is the basic reason so far? This is the basic reason. You can see the outside factors, the functional factors could be the push and pull factors. That's the reasons we just right now I explained to you. And this is the basic reason what can be in the different countries, in different fields of the in different organizations, there has different reasons. They can be also in the combination. So of course, the main reason is dissatisfaction with the payment first. As we know, for us, we are all working for payment. Of course, you can find the job that is you are happy with that job, you are enjoy that job, you like it, and like you enjoy this kind of job, and you also getting the payment from that job. This is the best for people, the best for you, for men. But this is very seldom where you can find this kind of jobs. And first we prefer the jobs with a high salary because we like to live with a high standard. We would like to have everything at home because we have a family, we have children, so the first is dissatisfaction with the payment, and the second I can say that this could be dissatisfaction with the company itself or with the top manager line. Also, the reason could be one. So let's move to the next one. So here is next we have staff retention strategies. Before we have looked at staff retention methods and the reason and the factors. Now we look now we look at the strategies, how we can to prevent this is the high turnover, how we can prevent. We can use this kind of strategy. So let's look. The straightforward, the answer to the question of how best to train the staff is to provide them with the better deal in the broad sense than they perceive they could get by the working for alternative employers. The terms and conditions play a significant role, but other factors also important. For example, there is a need to provide jobs which are satisfying along with the career development pursuits as much autonomy as is practicable and above all competent line management and so on. So let's see. So first strategy, the retention strategy, we have a pay. The many organizations use the pay rate as their primary weapon to retain staff. This is already have been proved and verified by Capelli, you can see. And however, as far as they are concerned, while changing work will compensate for pay, pay will never compensate for having to do boring and stimulating work. So we have always the advantages and disadvantages in the strategies. So disadvantages is like if you have a high payment, maybe the work and job itself is boring, and you are unhappy with this job itself. And the recent research findings this appear to confirm that the views expressed by Harrisburg that the pay is a hygiene factor rather than a motivator. This means that it can be cause of dissatisfaction at work, but not of positive job satisfaction. So people may be motivated to leave an employer who is perceived as paying badly, but once they are satisfied, their pay additional increase have little effect. So of course the pay is not the first and the most important strategy. Let's see what others we have. So here is as you can see, the disadvantage of the pay strategy. First, is the pay is very easily matched by competitors. So, and competitors means by other companies such as yours. And thus the pay is more attractive in recruitment terms, but the effect on staff retention will be limited. This is very true also. Let's move. So we have here the question for discussion. What other factors do you think employees consider to be more important than pay? What do you think could be more important for you than the pay? It's like the question addressed for you students. What do you think for you, for yourself? What are the factors is important than the pay? And what role can the HRM function play in helping to develop this? And what HRM can do to meet your needs in the job? What do you think? Motivation from Mr. Kai's motivation. But motivation could be different. So what do you think? The paid salary is self-motivation actually. It's self-motivation factor in the job, in the working process. So here's Mr. Barak say that the career development, environment, the development, job satisfaction. Yes, maybe as I know, some people prefer the career development, like the training processes. They would like first. Environment. We talk about the corporate culture. When we have in the organization the good, friendly corporate culture, this is very important because actually most of your time you are wasting in the job or in the work itself, and this is like your second home when you come into the office. The people who is working there, your colleagues are also like as some of your friends, some of you like very they are like a very close people to you can be. So this is very important, the corporate culture, the company's corporate culture, and the environment itself. If you have a everyday stressful situation in your work and your job place, of course it won't motivate you to work in that company. So I think everybody is with Mr. Barak. So the job satisfaction also is very important. So thanks for your answers. I understand that the pay is not the not most important motivation for you. This is very important. So let's move to the next one. I think I have a hand over from the Mr. Ahmad Jawad. I think he wants to answer. Please, Mr. Ahmad Jawad, would you like to say something?
Actually, the classmates and you very well explained about the motivation. That bad or good wage is not the main factor. It is a factor, but it is not the main factor. For the employees, there are many other important factors like healthy work environment. That is very important. Employees' safety and security, best policies and practices, opportunities for promotion, lack of violence. That's also important. Some agencies, they have policies as regards to sexual harassment policies like this which encourage female employees to be there and to work there. And finally, mutual respect is very important in your work environment. That is what I wanted to say. But
Thank you very much.
And also,
Yes, please.
yeah, I was going to just explain some points as regard to human resource rule. I think they can play a very important role, and they can focus and prevent employee turnover, basically by finding out the main factors of the turnover. They can interview the departing employees, develop and provide good policies and practices to draw the interest and attention of remaining employees who are working, in particular those who are more experienced and who are more older in the organization.
Thank you very much. I got your answer. So we looked the first retention strategy is the pay, and we have discussed about what other factors could be more important than the payment itself. And I would like to add something, just a moment. I would like to say that, for example, in Moscow, as you know, this is a very big city with 17 million people. A huge city, actually, Moscow. A huge city. And in Moscow have watched the traffic jams. And you can be in traffic jam more than 3 hours. So in that kind of city, also the most important the factor in the recruiting, in the selection job, is the location of the job, location of the company itself. It means the traveling distance from your work, from your home to the work, from your house or home to the office or the work. This is very important, I would like to say, because I know some of my friends getting to work between 3-4 hours. To get to the work, the time takes by car 3 or 4 hours could be, because the traffic jam is very huge. So this is just as one factor which is important, is the location of the office, the travel distance from your home to the work itself, to the offices. So let's move to the next slide. So now we have staff retention, the benefits such as staff discounts, the holiday entitlements or private healthcare schemes, pension schemes, and job sheet by staff. They are more likely to have a positive effect on staff rather than simply paying higher base wages, and they are less easily imitated or matched by the competitors. We also forget about what about the healthcare, what about the medical insurance, what about the pension schemes. This is also important for us. So also they have a positive effect, and this kind of factor is very difficult to copy by other companies such as yours, by competitors. So if you are planning to work for long term in special company, so the pension schemes will be very important for you and for your family in the future. So let's move to the next slide. So we will look so we have also the managing expectation. The other one, the strategies. The staff retention strategy is a managing expectation. What is about this? Let's talk about that. So here is a major cause of the job dissatisfaction in the hands of the high staff turnover is the experience of having one's high hopes of new employment, despite the realization that is not going to be as enjoyable or stimulating as anticipated. So, in other words, it's important not to mislead candidates about the nature of the work that they will be doing. So, I would like to say this is managing expectation that most of people think that they didn't get what they expect from this kind of job. This is a misunderstanding, misleading points, and HR manager have to manage these things. And as a result, the graduates, for example, start work confident in the belief that their days will be filled with the interesting work, that they will be treated fairly and objectively in the terms of the performance assessment, and that their career development will be fostered, and that their working lives will in some way will be fun and exciting. The young people, which is graduates, when they are starting to work after graduation, the university, they think that some of jobs, for example, or their job will be very interesting, exciting, fun, and when they already have been entered in that kind of job, they are having misleading that the job is not so interesting, maybe not so fun and boring. That is fine if it really can be guaranteed. Unfortunately, such is often not the case, and unsurprisingly, that it leads to early dissatisfaction and high turnover rate than desirable. The solution, aside from the introduction of more harness the recruitment literacy, is to provide periods of work experience for students before they graduate. So the best way to manage high turnover for the graduates, it best give them the little work experience before they start itself. And the summer spent working some way is the best possible way of finding out exactly what a particular job or workplace is really like. The same argument can be deployed in support of work experience for young people who are about to leave the school in order to enter the job market. So, I think you have been understand about the men's expectation. The HR department have to manage the expectation of the new employees first. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. So let's move to the next, what we have. So we have induction. What about the induction rotation strategy? The induction has a number of distinct purposes, all of which are concerned with preparing the new employees to work as effectively as possible and as soon as is possible in their new jobs. So here is itself about that. It's also as for beginners and for starters, when you start and begin the job, the effective induction must be managed by the HR manager for the new employees. So then it will prevent the high turnover. So let's move. The Gregg and Wadsworth showed in their analysis of 870,000 of workers starting new jobs in the 1992, that as many as 70% of them had left within 3 months already, and the other 42% within the 12 months. Why? Actually, why this kind of high statistics show the high percentage of leaving? The reason, the first is poorly managed expectations, as we talked already about the managing expectation strategy, and the ineffective inductions. So here is the effective and timely induction. It's the process which leads to reduction of the turnover in the beginning of employment relationship. Induction means when the new employee going to enter the company, when he's like first his or she's the first steps in the company, when he has been introduced to the company. So here it says like that effective and timely that has to be managed in this from the first level of the starting the working jobs of the new candidate. This is very important. So let's see what we have. Let's see here you can see a figure, the induction program. Induction program always have been prepared by the HR manager. So induction program, the length of the induction program can be from the few days to the number of weeks. And two kind of type of form from induction program can be. First is you can see the organizational induction. Actually, the organizational induction has been run by the HR department, and it involves just a presentation. It's like, for example, the new employee has been entered the company. Of course, he must be introduced to all colleagues and to all workers, and must be presented to all departments. This is done by the HR manager itself. And the second form we have here is the job-based induction. It's actually managed by the line manager, and involves the training needs. After that, when you have been introduced to the company, to all departments, then you are going to be introduced to your own department, what kind of function you are going to do. Then training methods will be held in this process. And here is also the training methods can be held. Actually, they are held about maybe 2-3 weeks or more than maybe around 1 month. It depends on job specification itself. Yes, right. Here is Mr. Alamzeb has been answered for the question very clearly about the induction. As you can see, he says that once the employee is selected and placed to the appropriate job, the process of familiarization with the company, with the organization itself is a process of induction. So this is what about index. So I think it's understandable. So let's move to the next one. So also we have family-friendly HR practices as a retention strategy. So here is the labor force survey statistics show that between 5% and 10% of employees leave jobs for family or personal reasons. This is also my reason, which was before. Home and Griffin quote that American research indicating that 33% of women quit jobs to devote more time to their family. Of course, women have to care the children. And this is the reasons. So, family-friendly HR practices. Here it says that each company, actually company or any organization, has to manage the factors about how their employees how their jobs, the employees can be managed with the family itself. So here we talk about time and about the flexibility. Women are women. I don't know what Mr. Brush means about the women are women. Maybe he can't argue, but he says that. So here we can see the reason for voluntary resignation from a job is enabled to juggle the demands of a job with those of the family. It can be not the woman's reasons, it can be also men's reasons. So let's move to the next one. So here is what we can see. As a result of the legalization under the Working Time Regulations 1998, the Employment Relations Act 1990, the Employment Act 2002, and the Work and Pensions Act 2006, UK employers are now obligated by law to provide the following as a minimum floor of rights. Here is what it has been provided in the UK country. So look at it. So 9 months leave for all employees paid according to a formula set out in the regulations. An additional 3 months unpaid maternity leave for employees. The reasonable paid time for parents employees to attend antenatal clinics. The specific health and safety measures for workers who are pregnant or have recently given birth. The 4 weeks paid holiday each year in addition to 8 bank holidays. A total of 3 months unpaid parental leave for mothers and fathers on the birth of adoption of a child. The reasonable unpaid time for employees to deal with the family emergency such as the sickness of a child or dependent relative. Also, we have a consideration of the reasonable request by parents of young children with the caring responsibility for adults to work flexibility. And 2 weeks paid paternity leave for new fathers. This is very interesting, and this is actually this kind of this is very good conditions to work. Actually, this is we have in the UK, in some of countries in Europe, in Germany. I think this is in French. The developing countries maybe they don't have most of these conditions to work, but some of them is already exist, as I know. So let's move. This is just like to you to know what kind of conditions we have to manage the family with the job itself. How we can manage what the company and the organization the UK provide to their employees. I think this is the best condition that can be, because most of them is paid. So here is from Ms. Sakmal asking, what do you mean by the 9 monthly for all employees paid according to formal set out in the regulations? I think this is actually talking about the women's 9 months leave when they are leaving. This is how it begin by the book. This is actually, I think we talk about when the women are going to be permanent and they have a 9 month leaving from the job. For all in post-paid accounts. So this we can leave it. I will explain it to you later, okay? So we'll leave it in the book what it means, because it's actually, yes, it says not so for only for all employers. I think it's about other factors. So I will look later and will explain to you. Thanks a lot. So let's move to the next one, because the class is going to be soon. Going to be finished. We have to finish. So we have also training and development strategy in the retention. So here is the two widely expressed but wholly opposed perspectives on the link between the training intervention and the employee turnover. So first, we have the training opportunities enhance the commitment to an employer on the part of individual employees, making them less likely to leave voluntarily. This is like the good side from the training. That we think that when we provide the training opportunity to the employee, that they will be more committed to the organization. And also we have an opposite view, that the training makes people more employable and hence more likely to leave in order to develop their careers elsewhere. And the view is thus put that money spent on the training is money wasted because it ultimately benefits other employees. That's just true. When a company provides the training, when the people are more trained and experienced, they can change their work and look at elsewhere. Maybe they would like to get a high salary and so on. But to prevent this, actually, to prevent the resignation after the training, to prevent for the organization, for example, some organizations use the credit training, like they will pay for your trainings. Maybe you will train overseas, but you have to sign the agreement that you will get the trains from the company. But after that, after when you got it all trained, you have to work in the company at least 5 years. This is what I had in my previous company. When the company, my company has been paid for my trainings overseas for some special programs and so on. And we signed the agreement that we have to work in the company at least 5 years, and we can't leave the company. This is how we can prevent the leaving from the already trained employees. So let's move to the next one. The most expensive types of training intervention involve the long-term courses of types such as MBA, CAPD, or accountancy qualification. Yes, that is true. This is just for sampling for you as an example what kind of trainings can be. Mr. Barak asking me, does my company support my MBA? No, my husband actually has support me for my MBA. My previous company support me for another trainings about the profession trainings, for courses which was for 1 or 3 months only, for short term the courses only, because the MBA is too expensive to provide that kind of training. I think if I would like to get a MBA from my company, I have to work in the company at least 10 years maybe to cover my costs. Yes, this is what. So let's move to the next one. So we have also the improving the quality of line management as a retention strategy. So we have improving the quality of line management. So most voluntary resignation are explained by the dissatisfaction on the part of employees with these supervisors. It followed that the most effective means of reducing staff turnover in organization is to improve the performance of line managers. I have few of my friends they are quit from the job because they have been dissatisfied and happy with their line manager. Actually, they were happy with the salary, with the company, with everything, but they were unhappy with the line manager. I don't know why. Because it's people. Everybody has own characteristics, characters, and this is could be also as a factor for resignation. But this is very. I think this kind of factor is very sad, and we have to. And the HR department have to prevent the resignation from the side of dissatisfaction with the line manager. So let's move to the next one. So here is look at it. The solution is to take action on various fronts to improve the effectiveness of the supervisor. So if you would like to prevent this, to prevent the resignation, look first. Select people for line management roles following an assessment of this supervisory capability. Of course, we have to assist further. Ensure that all newly appointed line managers are trained in the art of effective supervision. And regularly apply the line manager on their supervisory skills. So this is the action which can be applied to improve the line managers itself, their work and their the managing functions. So let's move to the next one. So here is what we have a statistics. So let's see that for this slide. So in 2006, the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development annual survey and recruitment and retention matters asked the employers to state what steps they were currently taking to add the staff retention. The top 10 initiatives were as follows: what the companies do to prevent the resignation, what they do for the retention, to improve the retention, employee retention. First is here is look at it. The 10 is the better is the recognition of employee efforts. So offering the coaching, mentoring, improving the work-life balance, which is very important, improving the benefits, improving the employee involvement, improving the line manager HR skills, the increasing pay, improving the selection techniques, increasing the learning and development opportunities, improving induction processes. This is also like the answer for your question: what the company can do to prevent the resignation, to prevent the quitness, to prevent the voluntary resignation of the employees. This is, for example, this is here the actions can be applied: improving induction process, and so on, increasing payment, and so on. So let's move to the next one. So here is we have a question for discussion. Think about your own experience at work or those of close friends and family, and what were the key factors that affected the decision to leave a particular job? You think first about your experience, your past jobs, what the reason have been was, what the reason were to quit, and what, if anything, could the employer have done to ensure that no resignation took place? Yeah, this is very interesting part. Think about. I think you can find all those facts that we have been talking right now. The factor that we talk about in your particular job. This is right now. You can actually you can chart me what the reason being that push you to quit from the job, to resign from the job. You can write that, could, and you can share between among the other students, so then we can know what the main reason being from the resignation side. So and as I know, some of you already have been sending me answers for that question. I will look at them also. So let's move to the next one. Oh, so here we have the end of the slides, the human resource management. Okay. I hope you have been reviewed the part of the ending the contract, the focus on skills also. Here they given the reference of the book, and I also emailed to all the students the electronically book of the HRM class. So now we have a question and answer. So who has the questions? So go ahead, try to answer. Oh, maybe somebody wants to share with the experience what the factors being what the factor was before from the past work that he or she has been resigned. Maybe who wants to share with the experience, who would like to share. So let's look to these questions for discuss. What the factor that affects the decision to leave a particular job, to leave your particular job? Let's talk about your previous jobs. So Mr. Rahman Jawad wants to answer. Yes, please.
Thank you. Just to share experience in the class, I used to work with an organization called GIZ. I left actually, to be honest, because of career development. GIZ is a very well-known organization, an NGO, but I decided to leave in order to feed my talent with different experience and develop my personal career. Of course, I also get now more salary, but that was never the chief factor for me giving up my previous employer.
You mean not the main factor for you?
Okay, yeah, that was not the main factor.
Mm-hmm. Thanks a lot, Mr. Chak.
Yeah.
So, who wants to share? Please go ahead. Mr. Barak, Mr. Kais, Mr. Usman. No, we don't have to leave Mr. Usman. Who wants to share? Please go ahead. Everybody is right here. On the next session, we talk about the performance. This is a part which comes after the recruiting selection methods. It's also interesting. It's about the what kind of appraisal system we have, or what kind of methods has been used by the organizational companies. We will talk about that. factors. So who wants to answer for the questions? Who wants to share with the experience? Please go ahead, because you are MBA students, you have to share with your knowledge, with your experience amongst the other students. Okay, thanks, Sakmal. We have 10 minutes to finish the class. So right now it's I hope you have been read the part of ending the contract. Here it talks about what kind of conditions and terms can be when you are going to resign or quit from the company. What actions can be done, and what company have to pay or have to have no payment to you. This is about ending the contract says. And in the part 2, the focus skills there. Here is the selection interview. This is very interesting part. If you have been reviewed already, there is given the examples and the assignments for you as a candidate. If you would like to, if you are going to or would like to change your job elsewhere, so you can use these assignments. So it will be practical to you. It will give you the experience. So I think today we have 10 minutes. We started from 6. We can finish little earlier. Yes, we can finish right now, because the next next class also will be very huge, and the best way to start from the next session. And I hope can see more students than today, and they have to start with us together. This will be best for them, because most of other students have been absent today, and the best way we can finish a little earlier, for 10 minutes earlier, only because for the next session we will continue. We will start a new session about the performance, and maybe the session will be more than 1.5 hours, will be around 2 hours, I think so, because we have a lot of PowerPoint slides to finish. The next session we talk about the performance, the appraisal systems, and about the performance, which comes after the recruitment selections. When you already have been recruited, selected, and you already have been working in the company, and we talk about the appraisal systems, about your performance, how we can evaluate and analyze your performance, your job performance actually. So we start in the next session, and it's a huge part actually, and takes around 2 hours. So be prepared and come at 6, don't be late. So I will see you on the next Saturday. The next class will be, not Saturday. Next Saturday will be supposed to be at 6 p.m. by Kabul time. I also have a flight on the next Saturday going to Moscow, and my next session will be from Moscow already. I hope wouldn't have any delay, flight delay. Have to be prepared. So thanks a lot to you. Going to finish my recording.